Maryland needs to make changes to its offensive and defensive game plan.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and thank you for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Roman Hemby absolutely needs more touches. The first game against Towson averaged about 4.8 yards per carry and had 12 touches. And I said going into the Charlotte game, Roman Hemby needs to have closer to 19 to 20 touches. And that's exactly what happened against Charlotte. He had 19 carries for 162 yards, but he only went into halftime with 9 yards. And we were down at that time 14-9. We had the ball in Talia's hand, which is obviously fine. You expect Talia to make the plays, but Talia was struggling. But in the second half, as we gave him more touches, Roman Hemby went up to over 150 yards in the second half and also had 4 receptions for 44 yards. So what does that tell me? We need to get him the ball any way possible, whether it's in the screen game, whether it's in the passing game, whether it's on a route out of the backfield, whether it's a handoff, whether it's a trick play, whatever it is, Roman Hemby needs more touches, and it showed against Charlotte. In the first half, we struggled on offense. We couldn't get much going. Talia was turning over the ball. Talia had 2 picks. We couldn't get much going in the passing game at times. Obviously, you would hope we could against Charlotte, and you would think it would be better against Charlotte, but we couldn't get much going. But what did we do? We gave the ball to Roman Hemby in the second half, and it got us going. I think we have to realize it's okay to not always throw the ball. Even though Talia is the best Maryland quarterback ever and whatnot, and he has all the passing records for the Maryland Terrapins, it's okay to give the ball more to Roman Hemby. I think we can take something away from what Charlotte does. Charlotte, I talked about it all week going into the game. They're going to ground and pound no matter what. They're going to keep running the ball even if we stopped it. We were stopping the run really well as the game went on. It struggled a little bit at the first part of the game, but Charlotte kept going to it and until they absolutely had to pass the ball. So what do I think Maryland can learn from that? Is that we can start to go to the run more and more and more. Obviously, I want us to be balanced. I think the best teams in college football are the balanced teams that can run the ball and can pass the ball. If you look at the top teams in the country, whether it's a Michigan or a Georgia or an Ohio State, all those teams have great backs, and they also have great receivers. And we have both. But I don't like when we go into the game plan offensively and all it seems to be doing is we're throwing the ball and we're not giving Roman Hemby the touches. Obviously, some of the touches go to the other running backs, but I would argue we need to give him the ball even more, especially going into the Virginia game. Virginia, they don't look very good this year. They don't. They just lost to James Madison, and we'll get into them more in the week coming up. But it's still a Power 5 opponent. It's still an ACC opponent. It can still be a close game. I guarantee we won't be as big of a favorite as we were against Charlotte or against Towson. And if we come out slow like we did against Virginia, then we could be in trouble. But overall, Roman Hemby needs more touches, and I think it also opens up stuff for our wide receiver room. I talked about it last episode. One of the most talented in the Big Ten and in the whole country. But when teams are so focused on it and they know the run's not coming and they're not stacking the box and they're dropping 8 in coverage against us, it's hard to get it going. So I'm okay with, instead of going to the run game in the second half, I'm okay with starting off with the run game. And if we're averaging 8 yards per carry, I think Josh Gaddis and the rest of the coaching staff and Coach Loxley, They need to start realizing that we don't have to throw the ball. It's great to be balanced, but if we're averaging 8 yards per carry, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As one of the coaches said, that the reason they run the ball so much, I think a high school football coach once said this, a very popular one, once said, when you run the football, there's 50% chance of something good happening. When you pass the football, there's a 66 chance of something bad happening. Think about it like this. When you pass the ball, it can be either a completion, of course, it can be an interception, or it can be an incomplete pass. And 2/3 of those things are bad, and that was kind of showing itself in the Maryland game. There were 2 interceptions on Talia, so I wanted to see more Roman Hemby. And Roman Hemby, exactly what happened when he got more touches in any way possible. We started scoring and we started putting up points, and it just doesn't just apply to Roman Hemby. I'm going to talk about Antwain Littleton and Colby McDonald a little bit later, but it can be other guys in the running back room getting those carries. But overall, Roman Hemby is legitimately one of the best backs in the Big Ten. And remember, like what I said, when you throw the ball, 2/3 of the things that can happen are bad. Obviously, the statistics of that don't really match up to what actually happens in the game. But when you're turning over the ball and Talia's unconfident and things aren't going your way in the passing game, it's okay to give the ball more to Hemby or the running back room overall. And I'm expecting that to be the game plan going into the Charlotte game or going into the Virginia game. And then also, one last point, the offensive line run blocked really well in the second half. I was surprised with the amount of holes that I saw opening up that the offensive line created. So they might be better at run blocking than pass blocking. I know we go into the year expecting Talia to carry us in a way in a lot of games. Even though we have great weapons around him because of the offensive line and everything, we expect Talia sometimes to just put us on his back. But when we run the ball, guess what that does for Talia? It makes it a whole lot easier, and it opens up play action pass, something I think we can do better at. Play action pass under center. That's a huge thing in football. That can really get an offense going, especially with our weapons. And then we can take a shot down the field on a play action pass to Caden Prather or to Octavian Smith on a deep route. If we give Hemby more touches like we did in the second half, I think that was a perfect example of, I've been calling it 12 touches isn't enough. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say Roman Hemby needs at least 23 to 24 touches in any way. That can be out the backfield. That can be on handoffs. But he's too good of a player not to have that many, or he gives us our best chance to win when we give him the ball. I said at the beginning of the season, he's going to make our offense go. Should Antwain Littleton be running back 2 still? I'll tell you after this message from Game Time. Have you ever wanted to go to a game at the last minute, like a Maryland Terrapins game, but finding tickets is hard? I have been there before. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem Locked On College for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Antwain Littleton should still be running back 2 for the Terps. It was no secret in the game. Antwain Littleton got benched. Coach Loxley talked about it after the game. Why did he get benched? He got benched because he had an unnecessary roughness penalty on the 7-yard line, and it was a big play. It forced us to move back a lot of yards. I think we were at the 7-yard line, and it forced us to move back to like the 20-yard line or something like that, where it was going to be like impossible to score a touchdown, and we were right there. And that's a huge play in the game that against a better Big Ten opponent, I don't really care who we play. Our standard is not that. and we cannot have that, and Antwain Littleton cannot do that. And then once Antwain Littleton came out, Colby McDonald took over the junior running back. I have said that I'm really proud of Colby McDonald of what he's done, but he came into the game and had 8 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown, averaging 9 yards per carry. A quick side note, Colby McDonald averaging 9 yards per carry. Roman Hemby averaging 8 yards per carry. This means we need to run the ball. It's okay for us to run the ball even more with what our offensive line was doing in the run blocking game. But back to, should Antwain Littleton be running back 2? Colby McDonald kind of took it over in that game, and he looked good doing it. He looked very good doing it. Like I said, averaged 9 yards per carry, had 8 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown, and there was 3 carries that were like back to back where they were just chunk yards, like 15 yards, 20-yard touchdown. He just chunked it out, and he looked good. He looked fast. He looked explosive. I thought he looked really good. I mean, a lot of people think he's the least talented player in our running back room, but if you're going to produce, then I don't really care how talented you are or what your tangibles are or how fast you run or whatnot. If you're going to average 9 yards per carry, you got to be in there. But despite that, I do still think Antwain Littleton should be running back 2 in a way, in a kind of a twist. Obviously, he hasn't played well this year. Against Towson, averaged 10 carries for 37, or had 10 carries for 37 yards with an average of only 3.7. And against Charlotte, had 4 carries for 17 yards on an average of 3.5. It's just not good enough right now. I don't know if it's because, if you remember, he came into Maryland at almost 270 pounds. A lot of people talked about, why is he playing running back? He's not going to be fast enough. He's not going to be explosive enough. He's not going to be twitchy enough, quick enough, or whatnot. People said many different things about Antwain Littleton. But I want you guys to remember, last year, Littleton had some really good games and some really good carries. If you remember against Charlotte, the team we just played, but against 2 years ago, Littleton went for like a 60-yard touchdown. And then there was other games against Michigan. He kept us in the game where he averaged 5 yards per carry when Roman Hemby couldn't get going. I know it's the first couple games he hasn't played well, but I still think Littleton should be running back 2 because of what we've seen. But the twist, this is what I think about the twist to it. I don't think exactly he should just get all the running back 2 carries. No. I'm fine with how Maryland's doing it. I said Roman Hemby should get more carries. I don't necessarily think Littleton should get more carries, but I think every time it's 3rd and 1 and 4th and 2 and 4th and 1, or the goal line appearances, which happen quite a lot in football, there's a lot of chances for those. I think Antwain Littleton should be in the game. I think he gives us the best chance of getting stuff on short yardage. That allows Roman Hemby to get a rest, and they love to rotate players in. So I think Antwain Littleton should be in the game in that situation overall. I'm down for Antwain Littleton to get all those carries in the short yardage game, but if he continues to play like this, I can't argue for him. But I still think he's really talented. The way he can move for his size, I think he's an underrated athlete, and I think he can do some really good things. But overall, he has to improve and get better. And I'm down for Colby McDonald to take more snaps. But Littleton should get all the short yardage stuff, which I think will equate to him continuing to be running back 2. And I think Colby McDonald also is really similar to Roman Hemby. In the case, he brings a lot of the similar things that Roman Hemby does, whether it's his speed and quickness. But Roman Hemby does everything a little bit better than Colby McDonald. Obviously, I love Colby McDonald. Amazing player, great leader. But Roman Hemby does do it a little bit better. But I think Littleton gives something a little bit different than Roman Hemby does. And that allows I think Antwain Littleton to still be the running back 2. But we'll see in this coming week. I think it's one of the biggest competitions because Maryland loves to play a lot of different guys. So we'll see if Antwain Littleton's still running back 2. But you also can't forget about Raymond Brown, talented sophomore that hasn't played a lot yet because he's been injured, but really good player. A lot of the staff thought he was going to be running back 2, and a lot of the fans think he had a chance to be running back 2 and overtake Littleton, but he hasn't played much yet, so I don't know what to expect from Raymond. He was a 4-star out of high school, really awesome player, explosive. Some people said he has more pop than Roman Hemby. I want to see him out on the field, but we haven't seen him yet, so we'll see what happens with him as he comes out. But if Littleton continues to be undisciplined and commit dumb penalties that Coach Loxley is clearly really tired of seeing his team commit, then Littleton should be on the bench. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, only being 2 games. But it does concern me when he's averaging 3.7 yards per carry and the rest of the team, Colby McDonald and Roman Hemby, are getting above 8 yards per carry, and he can only get 3.7. You start to wonder, is this twitch? Is his athleticism? Is he seeing the holes? Can he get to the holes? Is he fast enough? Is he a good enough athlete too? I'm not sure, but for now on, I think he has to continue to be the running back 2. Should Jaishawn Barham play more edge rusher? I'll tell you after this ad from FanDuel and a message from the Locked On community. College football season is here, and this season Locked On is kicking up your coverage with Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. Each Friday, Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On College YouTube channel. College Football Kickoff Live will cover playoff implications, the conference rivalry games, and go in depth like only Locked On can, including insights and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. This app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Barham is the best pass rusher and blitzer on the team and should get more snaps at edge for the Terps. Going back to last year, every time you watch Jaishawn Barham come off the edge, he looks like our best pass rusher. Last year, I thought, okay, great, he can do this too. He can be an inside linebacker and rush the passer. Great, but he's going to still continue to be mostly a linebacker. This year, he's doing it again, and he's doing it productively. Had 2 sacks last game. If you saw the one where he's coming off the edge, you're like, wow, he can do that too? I think he's our best pass rusher right now. That includes Donald Brown. That includes Kellen Wyatt. That includes Kayshawn Fuller. That includes everyone on the team. I think he's our best edge rusher right now and also our best inside linebacker. He is a freak in nature. If you see the bend and speed he comes off the edge with, it's truly something else. I think right now he's our best player. And I think if you have an edge rusher, what's the most important thing on defense? Pass rush. I would say the defensive ends and getting to the quarterback and then the cornerbacks. Those are the 2 positions that people value the most right now on the defensive side of the ball. And if you have a pass rusher that can get to the quarterback like Jaishawn Barham kind of has shown over these past 2 years, while doing it in a limited role, then you almost have to play him there more. But I know the staff loves to play multiple linebackers, and I've been complaining, saying, why is this kid not in the game every snap? But I think this is the solution, the perfect solution for Jaishawn Barham. Instead of taking him out on whatever, a drive, the second drive of the game and the 4th drive of the game or whatnot, where he should be in every play. This is what I think you can do. If you want to play other linebackers, fine. This is how it perfectly matches up. On first and second down, allow Jaishawn Barham to play inside linebacker position, allow him to stop the run, allow him to play pass coverage, and then on third down, third and longs, put him on the edge and that allows you to put other linebackers in, whether it's Wheatland or Hippolyte or Michael Harris or Gote, whoever you want to play, since Maryland loves to rotate guys, can't just play two linebackers. They just can't do it. It's a little bit frustrating at times. It's like, why can't we just play our best players? But if you want to do that, play those guys on third down and bring Jaishawn Barham off the edge, because he's our best pass rusher right now, and we need that type of guy to get to the quarterback. We haven't had one of those guys. I talked about in the offseason. We haven't had one of those guys in a while. So I think we absolutely need Jaishawn Barham to come off the edge and allow him to rush the passer and see what that does, especially against some of the better teams coming up. Whether it's a Virginia this week, they're better than Charlotte, they're better than Towson for sure. They have more talent than those two teams. Or Michigan State, our first huge game. We're going to be pretty big favorites against Virginia. But when we go over to Michigan State, that's when we start to get tested. And we got tested against Charlotte, but we got tested against a less talented team. Michigan State, probably it's a toss-up game. They have coaching problems. But when we need pass rush, which we will need, and it's not showing up, we're going to need Jaishawn Barham to come off the edge more. And I'm hoping the staff sees that. I'm unsure if that actually is what happens, but I'm hoping and praying that's what the staff sees and they notice it and they're like, yeah, we got to have this guy come off the edge. But that's all we have today. Thanks for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're going to continue to talk about games the Virginia game this coming week. Can't wait to start talking about them. But thanks for listening. Like I said, like and subscribe, and see you next time on Locked on Terps.